Hello and welcome to Travel Explore Celebrate Live with Veena World. I am Neil, and as always, I'm joined by Sunila. I think it's episode 71 or 72 of Travel Explore Celebrate Life, but I think in all of the episodes that we have done before this, we haven't been as excited as we are today because we are going to talk about what to eat in Thailand. And Thai food, well, it's very close to my heart. It's very close to Sunila's heart too. And both of us having done more than 50 trips to Thailand over the course of our lives, we end up cooking a lot of Thai food at home also. Both of us love cooking, but more importantly, Thailand and Thai food is something special and everyone loves it. And clearly, it's also one of the most famous cuisines in India. So, Sunila, if we are to start this episode, I'd like to start it with by asking you, like, what do you think of Thai food, or how would you introduce Thai food to someone?
Hi Neil and hi everyone. And yes, Neil, you hit the nail. I mean, Thai food, we could exchange it for every other cuisine in the world and have it every day of our lives. We love it so much. To introduce someone to Thai food, I would say it's a perfect mix of all tastes. So think of salty, sweet, sour, spicy. It has to have the perfect combination of these tastes, and then you cannot go wrong with Thai food. It's surprisingly easy. It's not really tough to make it at home, as we've seen. And I think 2 years of the lockdown really perfected our skills of cooking at home. Um, you just need to find the right ingredients because that is the key. And I really don't like to substitute it with the others. Like if you substitute it with something nearby, it's still not the same. I think that
Yeah.
that little difference makes all the difference in the world. And one surprising fact, and one it's quite nice to know about it also, is that it is really quite similar to Indian cuisine. So if you really understand Indian cuisine well, you can't go too wrong with Thai cuisine also. I was actually reading about it when you said, and Thailand tourism in India, on their website itself, there was a very interesting fact. And they said that actually Thai cuisine did come from India to Thailand, like the Buddhist monks who went from India to Thailand carried some of the curries with them, and they carried some of the other things. And that is why really they're quite common. So if you think of coriander, chili, cumin, we use all of that in Indian cuisine, you use all of that in Thai cuisine. We use coconut in our curries, you use coconut, jaggery and other things, in our desserts as well. And you also see that in Thailand. And Neil, it's not surprising because our cultures are quite closely connected. It's very often we are traveling in Thailand and we see a street named Rama something, or you come Ayutthaya is like Ayodhya, Atulya is like, Adulya is like Atulya. Sanchai, it basically comes from Sanjay. So the monks who went, and you can really actually hear that language even today when you're walking in Thailand, or say in the temples. It was a mix of Pali and Sanskrit, so there was a lot of Pali and Sanskrit and the language that came into Thai language, and that is why there is a lot of similarity. So I'm sure with the culture, the food, everything was taken to Thailand. But like I said, you get the perfect kaffir lime, you get the holy basil, you get the bird's eye chili. You can't go wrong with Thai food if you have those ingredients. So coconut and lime and peanuts, of course. And there, you can whip up so many things with just these ingredients in hand. So I'm so happy we are doing this. And I really can't wait to get back to Thailand and go back and tick off everything off our list.
So, I'll pick up on a few things from there. Ingredients are super important, right? And we
Yes.
often see like, oh, you want to make Thai food at home? You'll see many links on like the internet where they'll be like, oh, if you don't have Thai galangal, use normal ginger.
Mm.
If you don't have bird's eye chilies, use green
Mm.
chilies. Then there is like, if you don't have like palm sugar, use normal sugar. But then they just don't taste the same, right? Like
No.
you need those
I've actually done
ingredients.
a green Thai curry with the Indian ingredients because I ran out of it. And it ended up tasting like our food. At the end of the day, once you use coriander and once you use ginger and not galangal, it just for the name of it, it was a Thai curry, but it just tasted like any one of our curries. So,
Yeah.
yes, you're very right.
Another thing is that one of the best things about Thai food is that it is very inclusive of everyone.
Yeah.
Many people often say that, hey, if you're going to Thailand and if you're a vegetarian, you're not going to get anything. But guys, let
Mhm.
us tell you that if you're a vegetarian, well, vegetarian loosely is referred to as Mangsa Virat in
Mm.
Thailand. And if you're a vegan, which many people are nowadays, you have to say that you're Jey. And that is something that is related to being vegan in Thailand. Now, the way Thai food changes according to your palate is also very nice, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's a good point to start also. So let's talk about the soup, Sunila.
Mhm.
If you like milky soups, or if you like coconut milk in your soup, there is a soup for you. If you don't
Yes.
like coconut milk in your soup, there's a soup for you. So do you like, so there is Tom Yam Goong, which doesn't have coconut milk, and there is Tom Kha, which has coconut milk. Well, guys, goong means prawns, and
Yeah.
gai means chicken, and like prawns and chicken become the biggest meat or like
Yes.
seafood things that people will have in Thailand, right? So Sunila, what do you like, Tom Yam Goong or Tom Kha?
Actually, Neil, again, this is going to be really tough because I like both. It again depends on the time. So, say sometimes like how they say, food is the best remedy, and if you feel like you're getting a cold coming in, then Tom Yum Goong is there's nothing like that. One bowl of Tom Yum Goong and your entire cold, everything will disappear because it is quite spicy. But on days when I want to be a little mild and I want something different, then I like Tom Kha Kai. So there's never a question with Thai food, do you like this or that? It's actually when do I want to eat this and when do I want to eat that. Also, if I feel like having chicken, because Tom Kha, I feel the chicken goes really well with the milky coconut soup. So, or vegetarian for that matter. And Tom Kha Gai and plain rice. It's a complete meal. So that can be a complete meal as well. But if you wanted more like a starter and something lighter, because without coconut Tom Yum Goong, is nicer, lighter, and it just releases all your senses, I think, then I would prefer a shrimp tom yum goong.
And the pace that you get here in the supermarkets, they just don't compare, right? Because Tom Yam Goong essentially is lemongrass, chili, galangal,
Yes.
kaffir lime leaves, shallots, fresh lime juice, and if you're eating non-vegetarian, of course, there's fish sauce in it. And then Tom Kha is just coconut milk added to all of these things. Now, if you were ordering this, Sunila, and if you had to get a salad, what would you go for? And the answer is, of course, simple, but like, let's come to salads then.
Definitely somtam. I mean, there is no other option and no other salad. And Neil, like you mentioned about vegetarian food, this is papaya salad. I mean, how much more veg can we get than that? And of course, you have an option to have a mango salad because I've seen a lot of restaurants do that as well. With the papaya salad, you also have the option of the mango salad. But that's I think that's the speciality about Thai food, right? When you're not very hungry, you just have the papaya salad and you still have something spicy, something sweet, something salty, something sour, all the taste in that one salad. And really a good bowl is enough, but I think the best way is to share because the portions are also quite nice. And just that tangy feeling and with the peanuts, crunchy feeling of the peanuts, it's just heaven. So I would say a papaya salad or yes, a mango salad, any one would
there's
be
there's
really
also
really good.
there's also the glass noodle salad that people who
Yes.
don't want somtam go for it. But see, somtam is also the perfect example that Thai food brings to your table, like you said, that sweet, tangy, spicy, and all of that, because it has palm sugar, it has tamarind pulp, it has fish sauce, it has
Mm.
lime juice, I think it has chilies. Well, of course, it has papaya, then tomatoes, carrots, peanuts. And then, like, for vegetarians, I must say that if you are ordering papaya salad, please tell them that you don't want shrimp or don't want dried shrimp,
Yes.
or don't, like, if you want to say, like, inform someone in Thai, you can just say no goong, because that means that they'll understand that you don't
Mhm.
want shrimp or fish sauce in your food. So of course, sometimes the mango salad is not seasonal in Thailand, right? You get
No,
it
all
all year
around.
round. And
Yeah.
we'll come to the main mango dish at the end of the episode. But where to next, Sunila? Now we've
Neil,
spoken of,
there's also
yeah.
like for non-veg lovers, then you can also add the spicy beef salad to it. So, if
Oh yeah.
you want to, so if you don't want a vegetarian salad, I mean that's really quite yummy as well. So again, with chilies, fresh lime juice, fish sauce, and a little bit of sugar and everything, it's really quite nice. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
if you
then
want to
if
start
you
off with a non-veg salad, a beef
there's
salad is
there's
great.
also the pork salad, which is called lab, right? So
Yeah,
lab
lamb. Yeah.
is can be substituted with beef also, and often people do that in Thailand. You've been mentioning fish sauce again and again and again, and I think that is the secret ingredient that you get, where, like, I've often come back with bottles of fish sauce back home, just because the fish sauce you get there is quite incredible. I remember
Yes.
you telling me that, okay, well, we'll move on to the next section now, and then let's come to curries, right?
Yes,
And
but Neil,
I,
before that,
yeah.
we mentioned fish sauce, and I think I should add this here. I was in Phuket, and I loved the food. You know, those roadside simple restaurant, nothing fancy, and street food in Thailand is amazing, right? So either you're right on the street, or even those stalls or the restaurants that are set up. And there was this one lady, I think she was the owner or the cook or whatever, small place, and she kept making such good food that I kept going back to her again and again. My heart just didn't allow me to go anywhere else. And then that amazing dip, I'm forgetting the name right now, but which you make out of fish sauce. And she actually showed me and taught me how to make it. And it's so simple. And you just take fish sauce, lime juice, add lots of, chopped red chilies and a little bit of sugar. And that's it. And it is so amazing. It changes the flavor of everything. So if you want a kick of flavor, just add that dip and you're
So
done.
tell me again, fish sauce,
Fish
chopped
sauce,
chilies.
chopped chilies, bird's eye chilies, lime juice, a
Hmm.
little bit of palm sugar. That's all you need. So, like how we just added, some bird's eye chilies to the soy. So you can
Hmm.
have that on the one hand if you want soy with chopped chilies in it. And the other thing to do is just to take 2-3 tablespoons of fish sauce, add some lemon juice to it, add chopped chilies and a little sugar. The sugar is important too. So just adjust it to your spice level, and even the just plain jasmine rice or egg fried rice and the dip is enough to really have a burst of flavors. I loved it so much, and she would bring extra for me because she realized I liked it. And language doesn't matter in Thailand; they understand you perfectly well. I think
Yeah. So,
it's
speaking of
amazing.
sauces, there is also the namjim, which is the spicy dipping sauce. So
Yes.
in Thailand, there is a dish. Well, you don't often see fried chicken in Thailand, but there is a dish called gaitod.
Hmm.
And gaitod is essentially just like marinated chicken wings or drumsticks and blended with a few spices and rice flour and all of that and deep fried. Now, the gaitod is had with namjim, which is like a spicy dipping sauce, similar to this, but it also has a slight tinge of honey that gets added
Hmm.
to it. So that makes the sauce thick. So that's that. Another thing I actually wanted to ask you is that let's talk about vegetarian or vegetarian
Hmm.
dishes. What are some of the vegetarian dishes that come to your mind?
Something I really love, and I always have it. And like they say in India as well, right? When you have some non-vegetarian, you're having chicken or you're having fish, it's good to have a green leafy vegetable by the side. And one of the most famous and most popular meals in Thailand is the morning glory. It's so simple, but it is so tasty. And just this leafy vegetable that is stir fried and served to you. And the best is when it's just serve straight hot onto your plate. There's nothing better than that. So I would definitely put morning glory as my most favorite Thai food. Other than that, I would say a green veg curry, Thai curry, which is also quite nice because then you can really taste the vegetables quite a bit. But I would add a little bit of a chicken stock to really make it more appealing to me. But yes, if you're a vegetarian, then a Thai curry or a morning glory are two of my preferred options. What are yours, Neil?
So I quite like the morning glory. People often also go for the appetizer, which is the Thai veg spring rolls, because you get them on every menu that is there.
Mm,
So
yes.
that is also something that I don't mind. So morning glory in Thailand is often known as the pak bung.
Mm,
And there is also another fried vegetable dish, which is often called the pad pak. And pad pak is basically just vegetables fried or often deep fried, mixed around with sugar, salt, spices, and of course, a number of other things that might be ginger, chilies, and all of that. And that is also quite good. I often don't go for the vegetarian dishes apart from the morning glory because I'm ordering a lot of the
yes.
non-vegetarian dishes, which we'll come to soon. But I often like getting the fried rice to be a vegetarian fried rice. And a vegetarian fried rice topped with a fried egg is always fun. But you mentioned the curries and you mentioned the green curry, and often
Mm.
it is said that the green curry is one of the spiciest Thai curries. So that's why they came up with something called the Penang curry and also the Massaman curry. Now, I remember you telling me a long time ago that Massaman curry had some Indian influence or
That's
was
right.
not originally Thai. What was that?
So, like I said, a lot of the Thai curries are said to be inspired from India, and I'm sure some of the ingredients were taken across and they made something out there. Similarly, the Massaman curry has a little bit of the Arabic influence because of the Muslims, workers in Malaysia, and this curry comes from the south of Thailand. So, with Indian and a little bit of the Muslim influences, and you can feel it, right? Like if you've tasted the Thai curry and you taste the Massaman curry, it's slightly different in texture. It's slightly more Indianized in that sense. So yeah, so that is why it comes from the south of Thailand, and that's how it is. So it is quite different. In fact, one of the recipes I had for the Massaman curry also said to use potatoes in it. Like a lot of
Yeah, it
the
is often
curries
with
would often
potato.
say to use potatoes. And just like, even in Maharashtra, we do that, right? With our curries with chicken, we add potatoes to it, and the vegetable is never tastier than it is in the chicken curry or other curries. But yeah, so that's how they mix a little bit of starch and
So,
protein in
so
there.
they say that masamam, it's a very simple rule. Masamam has potato, green
Hmm.
curry has aubergine or brinjal, and
Yes.
that's how you make the slight distinction. And
Hmm.
masamam, or the other curry, which is the Penang, or often known as the Thai curry, which is a bit milder as compared to the other curry counterparts in Thailand.
Hmm.
They are the ones that often you'll see Westerners have, and in the Indian tourists or the Chinese tourists will often veer towards the green or the red curry because it's just spicier and it tastes quite good. And of course, that with a side of rice is often great. But apart from curry, like we don't get curry, there's stir fries also, right? And
Yeah.
we often tend to veer towards the stir fries because I
But Neil,
remember, yeah,
one point before we move towards the stir fries, just a tip for all our listeners. If you're trying to make the curry at home, yes, like you mentioned, you have the ready-made curry pastes that come in, and they come in small packets, or they come in big also, but they often have a slightly artificial taste to them. So it's always nicer to make your own paste at home. It's not difficult. There are lots of websites with good recipes out there, but I've seen that even if you have the luxury of grinding it by hand and not in the mixer, and if you have someone to do it for you, if you can't do it yourself, it makes a world of difference. And I think that is why you see the street side vendors in Thailand, often you see them, they have those stone grinders like a mortar and pestle, other things, and big ones, and they are always grinding things by hand. And I think that really makes the difference of a handmade nice curry or a nice
is it
paste
time
and nice
consuming?
food. Of course, it takes a lot of time and energy,
Yeah.
but the results are just
And then
dramatic.
once
So
you've done the grinding bit, do you roast the paste a little bit before adding
you should,
coconut milk?
yes, ideally, just to release the flavors a little bit. But just grinding it also releases the flavors. And very often, actually, when I'm cooking with lemongrass or something, instead of just chopping it and putting it in, I would use the stone grinder to grind it a little, release the flavor, and then add it to the food. It makes
Hmm.
a lot of difference that way as well.
That also reminds me that often people don't like coconut milk in,
Mm,
and that is why I don't end up ordering the curry. So if you're someone who doesn't like coconut milk but just like the taste of curry, there is also the kuakling, which is a dry curry dish where the
mm,
vegetables or the meat or the seafood is just marinated in this curry paste, and it is fried over a pan or something like that,
mm.
over a good burner. And that's how it gives you that curry paste if you don't like coconut milk, because coconut milk or Thai food often gets you the acquired taste, right? The basil also is
Yeah.
very like strong and peppery and everything. So
Mm.
that's from where you get that that taste, or that style. Now let's come to the, should we
Stir
come to the stir
fries.
fries? Yes,
Yes.
because I think if there's a dish in the world that I've had the most number of times, including Indian food and all of that, I think that title would definitely go to the pad krapao, or what is fried basil, chili, and whatever meat you want, prawns, chicken, vegetables, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Would you say that would also rank in the top dishes that you have also had?
100%. And I think it's the easiest to make at home if you really get it right. It's simple. Try it a few times. I think it's like a rite of passage to have that and then go ahead, and then you're certified as a true Thailand lover
Yeah.
of food. Also, I've seen that most of the kids from our home, Neil, whoever's gone abroad, we've always taught them the Thai basil curry and not so much of the Indian food, but
I once
Thai basil stir fry, sorry.
I got the basil stir fry on a plane back because I wanted to have it the next day from one
You
of
you
the
made
restaurants
it
that.
from Thailand, you got it
Yeah,
back,
as in
right?
I was eating at
Yeah.
a restaurant. I was like, oh wow, so good. Have to catch a flight this evening. Asked them to pack it up 3, 4 times, taped it so that no one stops me, and then just got it back, had it the next day. For the next 2 days, I was just having the not the pad thai. We'll come to pad thai, of course, but just the pad krapao and the fried rice. at office, and
Yeah,
it was just great.
it's
And you can certainly
amazing.
do that.
And it tastes good with everything. It tastes good with every kind of meat. Neil, what's your favorite meat in that? What do you like most? Do you like it
I
with
think
prawns? Do you like it
so.
with
It's made
chicken?
out of mince meat, right?
Yes.
Or like often nowadays they do it minced soya bean.
Hmm.
So I would say minced chicken.
Yeah, me too.
Everyone goes for minced pork, but I quite like the minced chicken more than anything. Often people also like it with prawn.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but me too. I like it with minced chicken, jasmine rice, and an egg on top, and that
yeah.
is
So the
just
egg
heaven.
is called the kai dao,
Mm-hmm.
and you often, if you say fried egg, they get it. But if someone's not getting it, you just tell them you want kai dao.
Kai
And the
dao.
egg is also incredible, right? That like
Yeah,
the moment the yolk breaks, and then there's like all of the yolk just dripping on
it
your
just
rice, and you're
shows how much
mixing
we
it
are
up.
enjoying this, right?
But when you're bored of the patra pav, we have often also gone for the ginger garlic in the ginger garlic prawns or the ginger
Yes,
garlic pepper prawns.
butter
And
garlic prawns as well, and the
yeah, that is
yeah.
that is also, I don't like the taste of butter, so I've
Mm.
often not stuck to that. And if you're someone who doesn't like spicy food, then there is the chicken or meat or vegetables in cashew nuts, right, which is called the
Yes.
kai med mamuang. And that is, we used to have it at a restaurant called SNP, and we
SMP.
used to we used to love it because it used to have cashews, used to have soy sauce, honey, onions, and your the meat of your choice or the vegetables that you want in it. Have you, Sunila, tried the Thai omelet?
The Thai omelette, yes, Neil, I have, and I really like it. But I like to see how they make it because it's quite interesting, right? And so many things that go into it. It's really quite nice.
Yeah, it's called the kaijio. And
Yeah.
often people think that it's a great protein dish. And if I'm on like a health kick, I should have it. But you should also remember that the amount of
Oil,
oil that goes
oil.
into that dish is
Yes.
crazy. And one of the restaurants in Bangkok, I think, has one Michelin star also. And there's
Mhm.
this lady who wears these goggles and is cooking this Thai omelet, and people are always lining up outside a store. So that is something. But should we come to the carbs now, like noodles and
Yes.
rice?
Let's
Huh?
move from that.
Now, when we are talking about the noodles, I'd like to mention one point. At the start of the episode, I mentioned how Thai food is very versatile and is
Mm.
very accommodative and like inclusive of all types of palates, right? And noodles is where you understand that more than anything else,
Mm.
because the most famous one everyone has is the pad thai, right? And if you keep having pad thai, and let me tell you, if you're allergic to peanuts, steer away from the pad thai because it comes with like a mountain of peanuts just like topped with it. There is the pad see which is a thick noodle dish, which if people want to venture away from the pad thai, they would go for it. So, have you had the pad see Sunila, which is the thick noodle
I
dish?
have had, I'm sure I've had it because it's so many times that we go, but usually I don't have so many of noodles when I'm in Thailand. I don't have so much
You
noodles. I
stick to the
prefer
rice,
the
is it?
other meals. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would. I'm not a big fan of pad thai. I find it a little too sweet
Oh,
for my
pad thai?
taste.
Nah, don't like it at all.
Yeah, me too. It's like, okay, for someone, it's okay for those who don't want spice, but for me, Thai food is flavor and spice. So without that, I'm not a very big fan of pad thai.
I forgot
So
to I forgot to mention this one point. Now earlier there used to be Chinese restaurants all across Mumbai where we are.
yeah.
And suddenly those Chinese restaurants started calling themselves multi cuisine restaurants because they started
Mm.
getting Thai food. So
Yes.
me and my brother Raj, of course, would often be like, do you think the Thai food that is served at this restaurant is good? So then we created a rule. We were like, we'll go to a new Thai restaurant.
Mhm.
Before ordering anything, we are just going to order the tom yum soup.
Mhm.
Now, a Thai restaurant cannot
Mhm.
screw up a tom yum soup. It's as simple as that. If the tom yum soup turns out to be bad, or if the tom yum soup turns out to be just like water
Mhm.
and paste from a packet added
Mhm.
to it, then you come to know. And then we are just like, okay, we are a little fussy
Yeah.
when it comes to Thai food, but yeah, like you want to have authentic and nothing else. And there are many restaurants in Mumbai that do that. And of course, once you go to Thailand, you like many of you will understand what I'm referring to. And many people have been to Thailand, have brought ingredients back and like started their own kitchens and restaurants. So that's a good thing. So there is the pad thai, which you don't like. I also am not
Yeah.
a huge fan of. Pad see ew I like, but I like my
Mhm.
food spicy because, like I've mentioned on previous episodes also, I feel like if the food is not spicy, you're not putting effort into eating food, and then that is just like empty calories that you're consuming. So there is a third type of noodle, which is the Thai drunken noodles, which is
Mhm.
basically
Is
noodles
it the
on
same
fire.
like the boat noodles, which comes in a soupy? like a soupy
Not
meal?
really. So the drunken
Okay.
noodles are the dry ones. The
Okay.
boat noodles
Oh,
are the soupy noodles. And of
okay.
course, the boat noodles also have an interesting story, right? Because
Mm.
floating markets, and then
Yes.
they used to serve them. But drunken
Mm.
noodles are like pad thai, but we'll just have your meat, little bit of vegetables, and just chili. And they are like super spicy. But you like rice, so let's come to rice. What is your
Mhm.
go-to rice dish? Of course, steamed rice is one thing, but what do you like with the rice?
So I like two things. I like the Thai fried rice, as they call it, with eggs and shrimp. And I, also like the Thai basil fried rice, like basically just making Thai basil chicken and adding the rice into it. I think those two are my favorites when it comes to fried rice, and you can never go wrong with it ever. So it's
Would you say
at least in
crab meat
Thailand.
with the fried rice?
Oh, that is also amazing. Actually,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. That is also amazing. See, it's so tough with Thai food to say what is your favorite. I've completely forgotten about that. But yes, that is really,
So
really
that
nice.
crab meat fried rice with the sauce or dip that you mentioned earlier of the
Mhm.
chilies and
Yeah,
lime and fish
lime
sauce,
and fish
I
sauce.
think that goes incredibly well.
Yes,
And
true.
one feature of every restaurant in Thailand is they'll give you 3 slices of cucumber with it. And I
Yes.
think that acts as a good palate cleanser, right? Like before you have that. So
Yeah.
cow part, which is the fried rice, and you can decide what you want to
And
have
then
it
there's the
with.
sweeter version meal with pineapple in it.
Do you think
Yeah.
pineapple on
I
in
don't
fried
like
rice?
it, but it's there. For those who like it, maybe those who like pad thai will like the pineapple fried rice.
That's It's the
Never
same
know.
as pineapple on a pizza, right? If
Yeah.
you like that, you're going to like the pineapple fried rice. And often many restaurants will serve it in a pineapple, right?
Yes. Yes. It's quite interesting to see how it's served. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. Let's come to the fish, because
Mhm.
it's also famous for its fish, right? And I think, what fish dish do you like?
I think I like all of them, but I like I mean, here I don't care. If you can ignore the oil, then I like the deep fried fish the best
Yeah,
when it comes with the sauces, because I think there is nothing better than that in Thailand.
there's the deep fried, often used sea bass or grouper,
Yes.
one of the
Yeah.
two fishes that are used. It
Yeah.
comes with spicy mango salad. It comes with a ginger garlicky paste. Often
Mm.
the entire fish comes in. You have to debone it yourself. Often restaurants will also ask you whether you want it to be deboned or you want it to be as it is. So that is also something that is there. Then there is
Mm.
also the planuang manao, which is the steamed fish in sweet lime sauce. And
Yes.
we've done
That is
that at
also nice.
home also, right?
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's also that's also pretty good. Well, when it comes to other fish, I think fish cakes are something that you get.
Mm.
There's chicken satay that you get on the streets. And if
Neil,
you
that's what I wanted to ask you. Do you prefer the fried chicken, Thai fried chicken, or the chicken satay? Because, like you said, the Thai fried chicken comes with a different dipping sauce. And what is really unique to your satay is the peanut sauce. Because without
Hmm.
it, I don't think it's complete. So what's your preference? Would you choose between the
I
satay and
think
the?
I often think that all of the best things in life come fried. So I think it is the gai todo,
Fried
which is
chicken?
the
Okay.
fried chicken. Peanut sauce, I don't find it, like, I just like the food spicy, right? So I
Mm,
find that the satay becomes a little bland to my
mm.
liking.
But
So,
I must say, if you're traveling Singapore Airlines and they serve you a chicken satay, go for it.
but then
It's really good.
you should order the meal beforehand, right?
Yes, yes, you
Yeah.
can. So if you're
Hmm.
traveling business class and you're going on Singapore Airlines, you can book a chef. So you can, before, of course, before you take off, go in and book your meal. And it's really quite nice.
Wow, very
And it's nice to
valuable.
be on the flight
Yeah,
and have satay, right?
very
Have
valuable tip.
something.
While you're
Yeah.
talking about flights, I'd also like to give a tip that, most airlines after the pandemic have also adopted a thing where they don't ask you whether you want veg or non-veg, even if
Mm,
you're in economy class. They just come to you and give you a veg plate. And
mm,
I was recently on a flight and I was like, but I want non-veg. They're
mm.
like, so sorry, sir. If you want non-veg, you have to pre-book the meal, because what
Oh,
happens
okay.
is
That's
that
new.
often people will take the plate and then they'll open it and they'll close it, and then they give it back to us saying that, hey, I don't want this veg, I want the non-veg. Now in that, there's a COVID risk, and that is why restaurants have adopted this veg only policy, where there's only one meal
Hmm,
for everyone unless you have
hmm.
pre-booked a meal. So that is also that you should definitely look at. So we've covered the fishes also. I'm just trying to remember, are we missing out on anything before we move to dessert? Do you
Mm.
Are you thinking
I
anything?
think we've kind of done we've done soups, we've done the starters. Of course, other than that is the street food that you get. So
The
you have the
cockroaches
prawns
and
and
the
the insects,
grasshoppers
but
and
along with the grasshoppers and the roaches, you also have those nice grilled prawns that you get roadside
yeah.
with the cover, which are really quite nice. So probably that's the only thing that would come to my
So
mind.
let's come to the dessert then.
Yes, let's come to desserts.
What would you go and order?
I actually like coconut ice cream, but my favorite, of course, is the mango sticky rice. Nothing can beat that. And actually, it's nice to try it in 3, 4 different places and see which one was the best. Because after every meal, the mango in Thailand is very peculiar, right? It's
Yeah.
got that very peculiar Thai mango taste that you can't get elsewhere. And I think that's what actually makes it even better because of course our Alfonso is amazing and our mangoes there we have a lot of variety and they're simply amazing, but I feel for a Thai dessert it's the Thai mango that does the trick.
Hmm. Yeah, and then the its ingredients are same, right? Sticky rice,
Yes.
condensed milk, and mango. But
Yeah.
each place does it differently. And
A
I've
little
tried
differently. Yeah.
hundreds of time to cook sticky rice at home, and I've failed all the time.
Yeah, me
So
too. I've never.
it doesn't. And what about the
Mm.
Thai iced tea? Do you like that?
I like it, but I find it too sweet, so I can
Yeah.
never finish it. Maybe I can share it with someone, but I definitely. I remember there was a time we would make Thai iced tea at home by the pitcher because
Yeah.
everyone at home just wanted that. And I would always think that, when you make it, you know what goes into it. And then
Hmm.
your hand, I mean, you cannot finish the whole thing because when you're pouring so much condensed milk, and I'm thinking, really, do I need something that's this
Yeah,
sweet?
it's very
And
sugary.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
people get a sugar high with that
Yeah.
for sure. You're on a sugar rush.
But speaking of Thai food, Bangkok is also one of the places which has a lot of the fancy restaurants. So, along with
Mm,
Michelin star, there's also the world's 50 best, right? And
mm,
world's 50 best is also a restaurant guide which ranks the 50 best restaurants in the world, 50 best restaurants in Asia. You'll see at least 10 restaurants from Bangkok on that list because it has become the food capital of not
mm.
only Thailand but Asia. More so, Tokyo is and will always be, but Bangkok is probably a close second, if not a third or fourth. So I would say that. Perfect. Like what else, Neela? I don't think we have missed out on anything.
No,
I would just say that,
I think
well,
the only
mm,
other thing, Neil, I would add is just plain fruits. I mean, when you're in Thailand, I mean, since we're talking of food, there are the street vendors, and you'll often see them. They are quite hygienic. They would be wearing gloves. So watermelon, guavas and mangoes, and they chop everything for you in front of you. They neatly put it into plastic bags. They give you like a bamboo stick or something to, like a toothpick to eat it. And if you're really hungry, you're walking, shopping, enjoying your holiday in Thailand, definitely go for a snack with the fresh fruits because there's nothing better. And I really always enjoy that when I'm there. And I always admire, I think for the last 20, 25, 30 years, I've been seeing them. They are serving it in the same way. It's really beautiful just to see that it's hygienic, it's nice and so tasty. So do snack on something healthy and something so tasty like the Thai fruits.
I think that's a good way to end it. Perfect. Thanks, Sunila. It was a very mouth-watering episode,
Yes, I
I would
can't wait
say.
to get back to Thailand now. Yeah,
Well, soon, hopefully
yes.
soon. Well, thank you very much, listeners and viewers, for tuning in to Travel Explore Celebrate Life. We will see you next week. Have a great day and enjoy your lunch or dinner, whatever you may be having while listening to the episode. Goodbye.
Bye.